Hello, and welcome to episode 182 of the Book Wars Pod. I'm Kate, and I'm here with Chris and Miranda and Devin, and we are talking about the end of The Fallen Star by Claudia Gray, which is the last adult novel in Phase 1 of the High Republic. And if you hear small gremlin noises in the background, that is because my dogs are wrestling right next to me because they don't have the whole rest of the house to do that. Definitely not.
I'm trying to make a joke about them like fighting on the Starlight Beacon, and it's not coming to me.
I see what you're going for though. I see what you're going for. It's like I don't know. One of them is like gray, and one of them is like cream colored. You could I don't know. I feel like there's a light side dark side thing to be have that there. But anyway,
Orca is a Sith Lord. It's confirmed.
yes, Orca of all dogs is a Sith Lord.
He is ruled by his emotions.
Aww. He's so sad inside. Yeah, this is I'm like I'm gonna like be having loopy pod because I had to take a mental health day today because it's day 100 and whatever the fuck in the hellscape, and it sure is doing hellscape flavored things. So yeah. With that being said, what are we drinking? Chris, did you even get a beverage?
No, I actually don't have a beverage. I also don't really have all my consonants right now, so apologies to our listeners.
You're gonna have to explain that.
Yeah, well, did I can't remember if I made a crack about having dental surgery last time, but I had dental surgery last week, and it went solidly okay, and I am in pain.
Well, I mean, by solidly okay, I mean you were just like
The surgery went fine. The stopping bleeding after the surgery less
just
so.
bleeding profusely from the mouth for about 5 hours after his surgery. Like,
It's fine.
so that
It's all
was
fine. We had a great time.
We had to throw out a trash can because it was just full of bodily fluids, and by that I mean, yeah, just so that was great. We were about like 10-15 minutes away from being like, should we go to the hospital? Are you gonna need like a blood transfusion? And then for some reason you like barfed and you just and then your mouth magically stopped bleeding.
Yeah, it
Get
was
the
weird.
bubbles out.
Apparently so. So anyway, that's going how it's going. He's basically got like a fucking like giant Invisalign tray in the upper part of his mouth to like just protect
the roof of my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't. Normally I love gory details, but I know that some people like actually can't with dental shit, so I won't get into it. But like,
sorry to whoever, just please fast forward for 30 seconds. Anyway.
No, it's fine. Anyway, so I've got a little like mouth guard thingy, which is why I can only do some consonants and have a little bit of a lisp.
Yeah.
But also on top of that, my face hurts.
I think I was doing Invisalign back before grad school, and I was on the pod, and I just definitely had a lisp for like the few months while I was getting used to that. I can't tell you what. They're very fitted to your teeth, so I can't exactly tell you what gets fucked up in terms of like pronouncing words in English, but like I don't know. Anyway, it's been very amusing for me. Burb, I just saw you take a sip. What you got?
I have a beverage. I am drinking from what apparently I just learned today reading the can is like a local company.
Oh, wow.
I am drinking a Rosé Bubbles. So it's a sparkling rosé in a can. From Underwood, Oregon grown. Apparently they're local to Greater Portland, which I did not know.
Huh.
And it's like my mom is notoriously a wine snob, and I like talked her into trying this a few years ago, and she was like, "You know what? All right,
all right, okay."
It's very tasty.
That's an endorsement for sure.
It's a sparkling rosé. It can't go wrong.
That sounds great.
I also feel like canned wines really just do hit different. Kind of like McDonald's Sprite. Like it just there's something about that combination that it's a whole different experience.
That's so
and it's a good one. So hell yeah.
That's so accurate. Devin, what do you have, if anything?
I've been having soda all day, so right now I just have water.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hydration is good for you,
Mhm.
Christopher.
Yeah. Listen, I chugged a lot of. Actually, I chugged lemonade before hopping on. I chugged some Simply Lemonade.
Like you're 6 years old.
That's water. That's
We
It's
love
somewhat
lemonade.
water.
Listen, it's a combination of water, which is good for you, sugar, which makes me feel better, and a small amount of vitamin C, which is good for healing wounds. So
Also scurvy.
also
Correct.
scurvy.
Yeah, I mean, you did
I don't at this time have scurvy, although
Are
but
you
you
sure?
did get gum
the
surgery.
year is young.
Keep your gums healthy. It's fine. I have a pour of more gin because that's how it's going. This is just the regular gin from the Block Distillery in Denver. I'm not gonna lie, it's not that great, but the bottle exists in my house, so I'm gonna drink it. Yeah, it's just really basic gin, and usually I don't think it smells as terribly medicinal as most people do, but this one does smell medicinal, and also like there's something wrong with it. So, that's my review. Don't drink their gin. I'm sure everything else they have, I hope everything else they have is better than this, but whatever.
Oh, we got to get you on the local gin here, but you have to
Ooh.
come visit for that.
You and my mother-in-law are desperately trying to bribe me to come visit. Because Noelle's like, well, we can like go do a few days on the coast, and I desperately want to take the dogs to the beach because they've never seen the ocean before, to my knowledge.
It's so big and they're so small.
I know, like I think Flix will have a good time because she's always having a good time. Which bless her, I want to come back and have no brain cells also. But Orca does not enjoy water, and I feel like he's just going to be very confused, and that sounds funny. So stay
You can
tuned
hang out
for
on the sand part.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
fine.
anyway, stay tuned for possible Cedars just in Portland trip. We'll see how it goes.
We'll get you some Freeland gin.
All right. Okay. I'll put that in the pro column. The con column is my in-laws and also it gets hot, like really really hot, and their air conditioning doesn't work great. And
If any of these
my
in-laws are
in-laws.
kidding, or if any of these in-laws are listening, she's kidding.
Anyway,
Just so we're clear on that.
your mom told me she stopped listening.
I don't think she's listening either, but just
Oh,
in
well.
case.
And more important news, that is extremely topical. We are for this book highlighting the Stop Ice Raids Alert Network, which is at stopice.net, which is a website where you can go to just send in reports if you see ice activity in your area, and they will send out a blast to make people aware of that. They're also accepting donations so that they can keep the whole thing running, which would be, obviously very helpful to many people at this time because, oh boy. And also, if you see ice activity in your area, you can either go to stopice.net and send it in, or you can also text them at 877-322-2299. So please avail yourself of this resource. Tell your friends, give them money, because so that's good. All right. Speaking of that, that's basically my first point here that I put, which is the the top line was all I could think of was like, well, that happened. So big space station fall out of sky and go boom in ocean. So that's great for everybody.
At least
Yeah.
it
But at
went
least
boom
it
in
go-
ocean
Mhm.
and not on city.
Yeah, that was very disturbing to me. It like, I'm not gonna lie, like as a person who grew up in New York at the time, it felt very 9/11. Everybody standing there watching this thing happen and not knowing what to do because there's nothing you can do, and that was like horrifying. Not necessarily in like a flashback triggering kind of way, but in a very like familiar, dread, horrible things kind of way. It was just, it was. Claudia captured that atmosphere very well. So good for you.
and that's like a new vibe for the Jedi. Like we don't really see that at all. Like a little, you could make the argument Order 66 is kind of like that. Just but that happens like so fast that they don't really know what's going on until
That
they're
also,
dead.
like, that's not like the general population. That's just everyone
Right.
murdering Jedi. This
No,
is
yeah, it's specific to the Jedi. Yeah,
we're gonna destroy just some random people on this planet
I was gonna say
once again.
it's not broadcast like moment by moment on the HoloNet like this is.
hmm
So
yeah, but it's one thing I do really like about the High Republic is that you do see. I feel like Star Wars has a tendency, particularly the books, because they can't always like have stakes. It's hard for them to have stakes because of um just like they can't they can't kill everybody they want to. They can't go outside of the canon on other
oh, I
of
see.
on screen.
Meanwhile, Claudia's just like absolutely good to go on a complete fucking massacre across the board if she wants to,
Yeah,
which is what you want.
I would
absolutely
say
what she
Claudia
wants
is
to do.
pretty much the only Star Wars author who is an exception because somehow she still makes you think that Leia's about to die. um,
It's true.
but the beauty of the High Republic and doing it, even before the Acolyte came out, was that they had no rails that they needed to worry about, and they didn't need to keep anyone alive, and they didn't need to. And not to say that this is like George R.R. Martin, where the only way you advance plot is by killing people, but like it is. It's a new position to see the Jedi in, where they have a problem that they can't magic their way out of.
We've covered this before. Is the Acolyte during the High Republic for some of us?
It's about a year, or sorry, it's about a century after these events.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So the High Republic is like a larger time span. It's like probably like 250-year-ish time span. I would say that I would guess that the Acolyte is probably considered to be toward the end of the High Republic era.
Right.
But
like in terms of what we're seeing in like the High Republic media that we have been consuming.
Yes.
It is
after.
It is way after.
It's about a century after this.
That's why Vernestra is now cranky old grandma who's slowly
like,
turning into her
Vernestra
father.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
Slowly
I'm
turning
very
into her father, and
confused.
by that I mean Stellan.
Well, she's still alive, so
That's true.
Heyo!
yeah, speaking of that happened.
I love a happy ending.
Oh my god. Chris has been telling us for weeks it has a happy ending, and I was like, I don't think it. Oh.
Stellan died.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about
I was happy.
But motherfuck.
Yeah.
Does he get half a ghost cookie for like, I don't know, discovering he has balls in the last 30 seconds of his life or not?
I mean, I would say no.
Damn. Oh my god.
I don't know. Like, I feel like being a Jedi and sacrificing yourself for the greater good is like literally like tripping over the bar.
Oh my gosh.
That's like kind of your deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't really do anything
Oh my god.
different at the end. And like part of that's because he had an encounter with one of the bad dogs and it left him relatively useless.
He was kind of useless before.
Exactly.
During the whole crisis.
That's accurate.
Sorry, practically useless, not just overall useless. And like, it is an interesting thing to be like, who am I? If I base myself on my power, who am I when my power is taken away? And that's something that Elzar's been dealing with because he's like in the first half of the book, reluctant to open himself back up to the Force. And that's something that Stellan would have known if he hadn't just like said he would help his friend and then fucking abandoned him halfway across the galaxy.
Oh my god.
So like, I don't know. I don't think that observation is deserving of a cookie. I feel like that's a fairly natural crisis of identity to go through.
That he went through at like 40 instead of like 23.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, that's fair enough. I take your point. I was just like, I don't know. Like, you know, you're telling us that Stellan's like dead all the way dead, like I don't know. I feel like that was a fine way for him to go out doing a good deed and whatever the fuck.
It was a very Jedi way to die.
Yeah, it was. See, and also granted, I'm saying that now, we don't have any of the fucking fallout to the destruction of Starlight Beacon. So who the fuck knows? I don't know what all stupid shit the Order's about to do, because Stellan would have wanted us to be rent-a-cops or whatever the fuck. So, you know, so I reserve the right to continue just dunking on his fucking stupid memory.
Well, it is.
Do you think they'd be like, what would Stellan want? Because he's the puppet of the council, basically.
Yeah, I think that might
Do
be
we
a thing.
care what he thinks? Do they care what he thinks? He doesn't care what he thinks. He doesn't know what he's thinking. He's never had an original thought.
Well, that's the thing, though. You can project anything onto that. So,
Like tofu.
kind of, though. Honestly,
Yeah.
It's just
The tofu of the Jedi Order.
Just marinate him in something new.
it's a lot of salty water right now.
I was waiting for someone to make a tofu line, because I was like, no matter what happens, this is going to be a great title option.
Yes. Oh my god.
Irem now is just a really good tofu soup.
Oh my god, dude! Now I really want Korean tofu soup. Anyway,
I'd fuck up some mapo tofu right
I
now.
know.
Except I wouldn't, because that would probably not go well with my
I
mouth.
was gonna say you
But,
just
like-
have a bad time.
But I want to.
Yeah. Just a side note about Irem, like between their planet being their core being extremely like disrupted by earthquakes and turning into Mustafar for 3 weeks, and then you know this happening, the moment where like this desalination plant gets like fucked up, I was like, oh no. Like, you know, they just got what's up, Merb?
Oh, so I was waving goodbye to Devin's cat.
Oh,
I've been obsessed with this whole situation.
okay. See, I keep seeing you flapping, and I'm just like,
Kitty.
okay, that's fine. Just checking.
She was actually waving goodbye to Stellan.
I wouldn't do it that enthusiastically.
That's true.
I'm more upset about the cat leaving the
Yeah,
frame than I
that's-
am about
That's fair.
Stellan
fair.
leaving
That's fair.
She waved with
This-
a big smile on her face.
worldly
I
plane.
promise you she will be back at some point.
Incredible. Thank you.
Baby kitty. Yeah, I just what did I put in the outline? Please, like, I hope no one ever bothers Irem ever again. And Chris, did you write the follow up here?
I didn't fucking
mean-
write it.
So, like, on the one hand,
Oh God.
people definitely bother Irem.
Okay.
But on the other hand,
Why?
they
During
also bother
Pride?
themselves.
During Pride is right. Did you say they
During
bother themselves?
Pride.
I did.
Oh my
During
God.
Pride. Yeah.
I don't want to deal with I don't want to watch this divorce happen. Okay. What are you saying to me?
Yeah, I would say that, like, on your list of planets that you would like to ever go to, Irem is about to drop pretty far down that list over the course of Phase 2 and Phase 3.
Oh, because of the thing that happened that no one will talk about because we're going back in time.
Well, that was Donna, but
okay. Whatever.
Donna also not good. but
Okay,
yes.
great. Whatever.
Have we seen Irem before this book? I'm missing
Yes.
something. Okay.
Sorry, I'm getting Iron mixed up with Donna that got turned into Mustafar for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was like,
So
regardless, that
Irem-
was the last book. and
Yes,
I remember
correct.
that.
But Iron we have seen before. When we first met Orla and Comac, we got flashbacks of them being Padawans, having to go on some mission because they were like having some crisis with their rival planet.
Oh, maybe.
you-
I feel like
yeah.
I would have remembered the gay queens.
Yeah, right. I think one of them gets kidnapped or something.
Yeah, they have to rescue
Yeah.
one of the
I
gay
do remember
queens
this. Okay.
that!
Yeah.
because the idiot kidnappers kidnapped the wrong queen.
Happy Pride.
They kidnapped the consort,
That's
not the regnant.
it's when the lesbians look like each other and dress like each other. They've been together long enough. It's hard to tell them apart.
No fucking comment.
But yeah,
Tell me I'm
so-
wrong.
I can't. That's the thing. That's it. Hence no comment.
the one good thing about Irem that I can tell you is that we are going to see a lot of it. So there's
That doesn't-
that
Okay.
going for you, which is nice.
I don't know about that.
I love when Chris just makes sinister, like,
It's
handwriting, like,
Like deeply ominous.
I know.
You will see this again.
The term forever war definitely doesn't come into play.
Oh fuck me! What did I just say about this hellscape? We're all in a hellscape. Star Wars 2 is in a hellscape. It's a hellscape in space. Anywho, Okay, before we go back,
Go ahead.
before we go back to talking about Stellan and Elzar and such, there's a suggestion at some point in the book, I think after the explosion that begins to divide Starlight Beacon in half, and the levelers are let out to run around everywhere, basically, that they get exposed to radiation and something happens, but we don't know what it is yet. And also, they feel like cockroaches, so I'm not sure that they're dead. You know what I
No
mean?
body, no crime.
I'm not sure that they're dead. Like, I mean, I'm not sure that they're dead from getting burned up in atmosphere. I'm not sure that they're dead from crashing into the ocean. I don't think they're dead. So I'm like very
No
concerned.
body, no crime.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Or in
Wise words
Stellan's
of Taylor
case-
Swift.
In Stellan's
but-
case, just no crime.
Oh my god.
I don't think they're dead.
Okay.
I won't believe it until I see it.
Yeah, that's fair.
At the least.
But I mean, like, not that it matters because now we know levelers fuck and there's more of them. But like, these specific levelers, I don't know. I have grave concerns.
Yeah, I will say, Kate, you had the key point of we know levelers fuck and we know there's more of them.
The key point: levelers fuck.
Keys to the game.
Yeah. No. Oh my god. You're gonna have to explain that now.
I don't really think I do.
I think you do.
I feel like most people who watch the sports broadcast know that, like,
No, but
they'll
that
come
comes
up
from
with, like,
something
shitty keys to the game.
very specific.
All right.
What?
So during COVID, when baseball came back,
Mhm.
there was a point in time where like half the Yankees roster was down with COVID, and they were just like,
True.
"Fuck it, we give up" on the broadcast, and it was like, "Keys to the game, don't get COVID."
Literally all caps, don't get COVID. And so now, like,
Jesus.
and so now it's a weekly occurrence in this house to be like, keys to the game, something stupid.
Keys to the game, don't get crispy.
Yes, correct. Anyway,
Orla did not win the game.
what the fuck is wrong with you? You can't speak ill of the dead who aren't Stellan.
But yeah, the only thing I'll say about the levelers is that Markion did not seem to have a ton of hope that they were
Mhm.
coming back, but
That's
also he was like, "But there are more."
Right.
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 Ominous.
That I definitely noticed that for sure.
He's got a backup plan.
It's true. He has like backup plans for his backup plans. I mean, it scares me.
Capricorn.
Yeah, fair
I'm
enough.
just calling everybody in Star Wars a
I mean, that's
Capricorn
fine.
now.
I'm
I'm so
fine with that.
sorry. It's
More
pride. Let me
Capricorn, bro.
live.
No. All right, let's talk about Elzar.
Can I make one
Yes.
comment that I tried? I was gonna get in earlier, but then I forgot it, and someone was talking. And what are you
Come
gonna
back,
do?
go,
The
go.
one thing about that happened.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I said. Like every few pages, this last like third of the book,
Mhm.
everyone's fucking dying, and I was like, well, okie dokie.
Yeah.
The thing about the High Republic that Chris was touching on earlier about like there aren't really the guardrails that we have with anything in the contemporary or big air quotes contemporary modern Star Wars
Mhm.
era. If we are to assume that a long time ago is now,
Sure.
you can just fucking do whatever you want. And also, if you have enough fucking characters, you can just kill a ton of them.
Claudia
And
says
you
yes.
still have plenty.
Yes.
I think that's our whole strategy.
Yes. For sure.
Thank you.
I don't think we're even going to get around to talking much about like for example, like Chancey Yarrow, especially because I feel like the significance of her getting
I forgot about that until just
checks
now.
notes cut in half like Maul. Like
Spider Chancey.
Yeah, I know, right? Dude, that'd be awesome. I don't think that's gonna happen, but that'd be
so
amazing.
good.
I feel like the significance of like her place in this book and what happens to her is not going to be felt until we get back to Sylvester anyway. So that's probably the only reason I don't have her all up in here. But yeah, no, lot of casualties. Big body count in this book for sure.
Well, space station fell out of the sky.
Yeah,
so.
like only a little bit. Cool. Elzar, my favorite, my now new top favorite person to dunk on because Stellan's dead.
I don't know. Avar may jump that list.
Oh no! Really?
Oh, spicy.
Oh Jesus! Oh, she doesn't even. She's like a piece of paper, man. Really?
So like, I'm probably like 2/3 of the way done with phase 3 right now. I'm like reading Into the Light right now. And I'm not saying that Elzar is my favorite of the 3 at this point, but I'm not saying it.
Oh God. How terrible is that?
That's not a good sign.
That's dreadful.
It's not a great situation.
Oh no.
But it's a really interesting, like, because they're like very clearly positioned from the get-go in Light of the Jedi as the big 3. And they each have their own.
Star Wars. We need one.
It's Star Wars' power 3. Unless it's a dyad.
Star Wars is charmed, except when JJ fucks it up.
He really needed a third. Moving past that. But like, and they all 3 of them fill this like kind of different archetype of hero. Like you have Stellan, who is like the rule follower, and like you have Avar, who is like the golden child, but like with a fiery spirit and with more individuality than Stellan. And then you have Elzar, who's like kind of the fuck up, but also like
he's an anti-hero.
He's a little bit of an anti-hero. He's also a little bit of like a tragic heartthrob. Like
he's a what do you call it? He's a very Byronic hero for sure.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe him. And
using that degree.
Heyo.
And it's interesting because like Stellan is the one who is like perfect, heavy air quotes. Because like, it's very intentional that he's written as this like kind of rigid person whose rigidity comes back to haunt him. But like he's also like, he is like the quote unquote like best one. And they all fuck up. And he's the one who dies. Like we'll see more about Avar's fuck ups next week when we read some of the comics. But it's interesting because this whole phase 1 has really been an exercise in all of them get broken down. And you see Stellan, who is like the most, again, I'll use that word, rigid of them all, and he is the one who can't bend, and so he is the one who breaks. Which I think is really interesting because Star Wars has kind of always been about a certain amount of, I don't want to say moral flexibility, but I do want to, like, it has always been about a certain amount of like, if you cling too hard to your values, you lose sight of what's important and you die. And whether that's the Jedi Order or whether that's Stellan, or whether that's fucking Palpatine and his values of insisting on using lightning in the face of lightsabers, like
it's Anakin getting all his fucking limbs chopped off. As well.
Like you have this I'm struggling with words today, but like it's contrasted with like Luke, who really struggles going back and forth in the original trilogy and even into The Last Jedi of like, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't even know. Like, but I'm learning on the way. And like, he ends up in a much better place than someone like an Anakin or like the original Jedi Order from the prequels, when they were like, we have all of these things that we are not going to allow you to do, and they're all going to lead to our downfall. So I just found that really interesting. with Stellan.
Yep. No, I think that's a fair enough analysis. I don't really have anything to add to that. Can I complain about Elzar now?
Yes.
God. All right. Listen, I was just like, I was almost starting to root for him because, like, you know, he's the one like coming up with all these like really good ideas for like, you know, thinking outside the box and whatever the fuck because he's Maverick Jedi, and he was so close to getting out of that whole situation without doing something unforgivably stupid, and yet he just pops out of nowhere being like, I'm gonna make assumptions and cut you in half, and here we are. And then he's like, oh, I've been a bad boy.
Should not have done that.
Yeah.
You know what happens when you assume, Elzar.
And then he's just like, oh, I gotta talk to Avar about this, except like everything's bad, so I'm gonna talk to Avar about this later. And I'm like, you know what happens when people try to talk about stuff later? It doesn't happen, and then the truth comes out in some other horrible like way that you can't predict, and then I don't even know. I'm really worried they're gonna bang it out though.
Fucking. Well, yeah. You can't not tell someone that you murdered somebody.
At least person. Yes.
I mean, people do
I've
it
never
every day.
murdered anybody, so I don't know how it works. But like, I assume if you're a Jedi, somebody will find out.
Yeah, probably.
And when it's your not girlfriend, it's not gonna go well.
Yeah, I mean, they did say that they're doing like, you know, search and recovery efforts. So like, somebody's gonna find. I was gonna say the pieces of
Someone chopped in half by a lightsaber.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, that's weird.
It's a pretty like obvious. You can tell what caused that.
Yes. Hello, kitty.
Like a slice.
Yes, Devin's cat. Hello. Hi, baby. Oh my gosh, adorable. Miranda's gonna go cry now. All right. Yeah, I know we're gonna get a whole lot more of Elzar. I'm sure there will be more screaming to be had. I'm really fascinated by him though, because like he's like very much like feels like they're about to like make him into a Jedi modeled after somebody like Kanan, and I'm gonna be eating crow so bad in like 5 years once we finish reading all these books. And I'm not looking forward to it. So anyway, yeah, just put a pin in that for later. You can all just fucking dogpile on me in the comments.
I think the last thing I'll say about Elzar for this phase is up to this point, he is the only one who like acknowledges his mistakes and like understands that it's like not just one moment and it's a whole road to try and like earn like Star Wars favorite theme of redemption. And like that road has bumps, but he is like actually honest with himself. You know, we'll see, like y'all said, about like how like does he tell people about what happened, but like he is at least very honest with himself, and to this point honest with others about not knowing if he's going to get to the end of that road, but trying nonetheless.
Listen, man, the thing with him though is that the reason why he has to be so honest with himself is because he just can't stop fucking up, and he's been like this since like birth. And it's just like at a certain point it's like, you're a grown man, figure your shit out. So anyway, these are my thoughts. Not Orca making sad little noises because he wants attention.
He likes Elzar. Number one Elzar fan.
I know. Yeah,
Stop talking bad about him.
Okay, whatever. All right.
Orca would be a Lily Torasi fan. Let's be honest with ourselves. From the Edge of Balance.
Ah, yeah, that's true. That's
Kate gets it. Kate gets the joke.
See, stop making jokes you have to explain.
The joke is the Edge of Balance is a manga, and Lila Torasi is like very Asian waifu, and Orca
is racist.
Has an affinity for East Asian women.
Yep, he is so fucking racist. Literally, you have to tell them the story though about me being in class and.
Oh, he like saw a random Asian woman and like got super excited and thought it was Kate coming home from class.
This is not when we first got him. This was months later. But probably so. Yeah, no, he's just my dog's racist. Moving right along. So we brought up in an earlier episode how this incident is going to change how the galaxy views the Jedi and the Republic as a whole. And again, we haven't really gotten to the fallout of it, but like already at the end of the book, even our girl Affy is like, the Jedi just have, quote, non-existent authority on the space station. They have like they have no plan. They have no way to save everybody. They're the ones who turned a blind eye and let all this happen in the first fucking place, and now it's like, you know, every person for themselves. And so she's just out here like, I'm just gonna hotwire this fucking escape pod and do what I have to do, because frankly the situation is stupid.
They were obviously not set up to do well in this situation.
Sure.
I don't obviously I don't love the Nihil, but like, Marchion Ro's very good at his job sometimes. He fucking prepared for this. He's got backup plans for his backup plans. And like, not that, you know, with the Republic and like the Jedi efforts all like spread across the galaxy to save like the distraction stuff, they weren't going to be well set up for it. They still could have done better.
Right.
Like,
I agree, especially that moment where the crew of the vessel is able to kind of like get around what they thought was a communications blackout and just call for help. And then the book was literally like cut to Chancellor Lena So on Coruscant being like, damn, I should have thought of that. And it's like, yeah, actually you should have. You're the president. Like,
yeah, I think we were talking about it last week. But when the Jedi are like, well, I guess there's nothing we can do. And
Guess
fucking
we'll
Stellan's like, oh, I've never had to think for myself before. And I'm like, you've got a space station full of like people who are used to surviving in space. They can figure out how to survive, even if it's just themselves. Like, they're not going to be out here trying to save everyone, because fuck it. But like, I feel like if we had shared information earlier, who's to say?
No, agree. Like I was saying, this is a bunch of people who are very used to being like, duct tape will do. Like, I like, and it did. Like, that's what was the most helpful. Like, granted, the call for help couldn't do a whole lot because there's all these ships now hanging out who still can't really do anything, but at least they tried, you know? Like, and everybody else is just like, granted, it's a horrible emergency, and also the people who are supposed to be in leadership positions are melting down and fretting and paralyzed by
getting crisped.
Yeah. Yes. That's true. Like, it's a whole situation, and it's just like, can leaders lead? And it's like, no. You have to rely on a 17-year-old girl at a rock. Like,
that sounds like Star Wars.
Yeah, kind of.
Listen, we could all do a lot worse than Geode.
It's true. That's true. But yeah. So yeah, just bad things. Bad things are happening now.
Yeah, and I think it's really, we're in a really interesting place with the Jedi, because like, we've talked a lot about how they took on this like kind of police force mentality, but it's really easy to take on like security responsibilities and just general responsibilities when you're still pretty confident that like nobody can beat you. And like, even after Valo, like, the lesson from Valo was more like, damn, we underestimated these people, which was, you know, even by itself a mistake that they continued to make.
I was gonna say, keep fucking that chicken.
But it was never, the lesson was never really, oh man, the Nihil can beat the Jedi in a straight fight. And that is not really true anymore. And we've never seen that be the case. So I think that that's a really interesting place for them to be, of like, okay, now you actually have to live it, and like, you actually are putting yourselves in danger by going out and doing shit. So what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting, like, you know, there's like 47 levelers running around on this ship, and like, you know, the only people who can help are, oh my god, wait, normal people can help us do anything. You know, it's like, holy fucking shit, y'all. Like, this is so painful. Like, I couldn't, like, you know, honestly, I feel like, honestly, if Vernestra had been on Starlight Beacon, she would have been like, all of you are so stupid. I'm in charge now. Like,
Watching watching
can't.
the Jedi figure this out in real time was like when I used to, back when I was in DC, I would go over, my boss sat in a different building than I did. So I would like go over and I'd stand in his cubicle and I'd talk to him and I was like, "Oh, did you get this email from me?" And then I would sit there and watch as this
God.
man tried to find the email from me in his Outlook. And it took way too long. He's
Yeah.
like, "I sent it today."
Oh my god.
It's like a couple hours ago.
Outlook search function does fucking suck. To
Okay.
be fair.
The Outlook search function is fine. But he had it, he was doing it like by, it wasn't in like a chronological thing. No biting. Sorry, my cat's biting me. He would like he would alphabetize it by sender and then scroll down to
What
me.
serial killer
was-
ass method is this?
I think he was a boomer.
That's not an excuse. You plenty of boomers are serial killers. Like I don't
He prints out all his emails and puts them in a filing cabinet.
Mm.
He did not, because I was in charge of the filing cabinets. I
That's
know.
fair. That
I
would
know
also
what was in
require
there.
a boomer to know how to work a printer.
Oh my sweet baby Jesus. That really is though Stellan and his little like hot wired like astromech array that he's like trying to get information off of, and they're all like there's just steam coming out of their domes, these poor guys. Like
It's like, if all the Jedi can't do things, because oh no, what happened to the Force?
oh my gosh.
What about all the people who don't know the Force? Ooh, like what? Why did it take the whole crisis for someone to be like, oh,
Yeah. Really. Like if it's eating Force users, how about a whole space station full of not Force users that are trapped in your hangar? But okay, sure.
Don't worry, we have Raptors for those.
I will get to the Rathars in a second because I died laughing. I all right. I just want to have a sidebar for Gyrostaros be like just being
Girl, what are you doing?
I just
What?
so many questions. Also, like, is she planning to like? She's not. People don't know that she did this. So is she really planning to go back to the Senate after this? Is that
She's like diving. She's like, am I in the way of this? Am I laughing too loud during? It's like,
Right?
girl,
Like-
go leave the room.
Oh my god! I really love the end when in the epilogue when Markin's making his big speech about I'm taking over the galaxy, and she's like yelping in the background or whatever the fuck,
Yeah,
and he's like,
leave the room.
and he's like, if this shows up in my fucking big speech, I'm going to kill somebody, and the somebody's gonna be you.
It's gonna
Like,
be her. It's
yeah.
gonna be her for sure.
With your weird knife droid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big old.
But yeah,
knife.
like I don't know. Like I mean, and I do know because like this is like she's a very classic thing. Like she thinks that she is too smart for her own good, but in reality, she is just smart enough to like hang herself with her own rope because
oh man,
she's convinced that like she's playing 7-dimensional chess and like
She's playing
in
checkers.
with the Nile, but like she's also in with the Republic.
she's playing 7D chess that her literal 11-year-old daughter figured out in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and like in reality, she's like, "Oh, did I choose the baddies? Oh, it's probably fine. Nobody will know, except they will know because it's actually going to be incredibly obvious once anybody actually looks back at this and figures out, like, for example, who could have given the Nile all their access to Starlight Beacon? Like, it's really interesting because she was really painted as this very competent
Like
politician.
calculated, like yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
and like this very like not she was never like quite genuine, and now we like obviously know why, because now we know who she was really helping, because she was like kind of trying to play both sides, but also like definitely took it too far in one direction, and now is going to have to live with that.
This is the direction Markin Rose dick,
Yes.
because that's where she went. I hated
Well-
that very much.
Gyrostaros, very here for Marky and Rose, big gray dick.
No. Hate that for us.
Can we talk about Bell and not any anatomy anymore? Okay, great, cool. So one of the things I noticed was just like, feels like there's a lot of attachment going on in this book, and definitely of the variety that the prequel Flavor Jedi would not have approved of in the slightest. Like, um, Belle's still going through the grieving process after Loden got kidnapped and crispified, and now Master Indira's in a coma, and Buriyaga's missing, and he's like, I'm choosing now to just like to hold out hope and hold on to people and not give up on them because oh my god, Tony's about to eat this microphone. I love him so much. um yeah, so he's like, I'm not giving up on people, I'm not letting go of them, I'm not like leaving them for dead anymore after what happened to Loden. He's like, I'm gonna keep searching, and like having that unique fixation on his personal relationships, I feel like is like a thing that very much gets like crushed out of the Jedi way after this period in Star Wars history.
I don't think he has the wrong idea about trying to find Buryaga. But also, I feel like someone has already had a conversation with him about Indira, probably. But like, we gotta find a way to compartmentalize this until we can fully work through it in space therapy.
Like, I think as I recall her point, and I cannot recall what book this would have been in, but she was just like, grief is normal, like feel the grief and also don't let it consume you. And I honestly don't know where that line is for him. It's really hard to figure out for me, especially because like, grief as a natural process when you're not a warrior monk is like, the shit's not linear. Sometimes it's better, and sometimes you have better days and sometimes you do not. And Belle's usually having a sad time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's between Belle and obviously Elzar, we've talking a lot about like
simp.
There's a lot of attachment going on among these Jedi, but like it's also like
big Jedi simp.
Not attachment in the same way, at least so far. Well, Elzar's is a little bit, and we'll see.
Elzar's absolutely is
24/7 thinking about Avar's boobies. Okay, like I don't think you can.
Elzar's is. You haven't finished your point yet, but it is.
No, fair. I didn't mean it's not like romantic attachment. It absolutely is with Elzar, but it like I feel like one thing that remains to be seen at this point is like, do these attachments inherently cause conflict? And like, and they might, because like Belle is like, I'm gonna stay and look for Buryaga, and it's like, Belle, we kind of have a lot to do right now. I'm not gonna like, take your time in the next 10 minutes. And Elzar, like, keep being attached and then just cut more people in half. But also like
but literally he just has like obtrusive, like just compulsive obtrusive thoughts about boobies. I'm like, bro, please. This is an actual fucking galaxy-wide crisis. Can you like hang on for like a minute? Holy shit.
Yeah. But it is like, we are in this situation where we're going to learn a lot more about what the Jedi's lives were actually like in phase 2 and phase 3, and we got a little bit of that in phase 1.
What their lives were like in terms of what, like
in terms of like having human emotions,
okay,
and dealing in particular with loss and with sadness,
okay,
and not kind of just having you don't need to have feelings because everything is okay.
It's okay to have
which is very much the Yoda model in the prequels. Like, that those feelings can't stop me because nothing bad has ever happened to me in my life. And so now we're dealing with like they have lost a lot of people and they are going to continue losing people. I don't think that's a spoiler to say, you know, these Force Eaters just got, or you know, these levelers just got revealed to the galaxy. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that they're not going to go anywhere, and they are in fact going to continue to wreak havoc. And the Jedi are going to have to actually like question what is important to them and what is it that gives them strength. And
It's boobies.
it's boobies is the lesson here.
Pretty sure it's the Force.
Heterosexuality really,
Happy Pride.
yeah, really powers the Jedi. But yeah, so like I do think that we're at the start of a very interesting discussion of like the no attachment rule, and like is it the same that we're seeing in the High Republic as we saw in the prequels that led to Anakin's fall? Is it different? Like, how are they different? Is attachment in and of itself really bad? I think these are questions we're going to talk a lot about.
Slight philosophical discussion to come. You know. All right. Taking an extremely wider view. So we've been alluding to how the High Republic debuted at a time where thinking about cross-media storytelling and or at least like telling a story across like several, like, telling a larger story across several different smaller ones was a huge thing thanks to Marvel. And so this was kind of like phase one's like Infinity War Endgame equivalent. And we have mentioned that before. So several questions. First of all, like, how well do we feel like Claudia handled all these characters and all their points of view? And honestly, I should have. I was going to, and then promptly forgot to do a count of how many point of view characters we have throughout this book. Errata from previous episode. I will say Avar did have a point of view chapter in the second block of reading that we read. It says on page 150 that I can't read. Fuck off! Anyway, it's like, regardless of how we think she did, which we will discuss, like, I don't envy her that task of like juggling this many characters and making them all feel different and also like themselves. But yeah, how do we think she handled this fucking monumental thing? Like, I just can imagine her in the room with the other four like beginning writers for Project Luminous and drawing the short straw and being like, okay. Like, anyway.
Yeah, I think I thought she did as well as anybody could. I mean, Claudia's books often have a lot of different point of view characters, and she's pretty good at diversifying the voices that she writes in. I think for me, the kind of Infinity War of it all is difficult because we have situations, and I've complained about this in past books, where it's like, we had a book all about the Drengir, and oh my god, they're going to be such a threat to the galaxy, and then we never heard from them again if you only read the books. And like, yeah, like, you can read the comics if that's your jam, like, and they're good comics and they should be read. But like, I think from a plot perspective, and this is something I'm actually really, really struggling with in phase 3. So we're going to continue. This is going to be a recurring discussion that we have because it's also it happens a lot in phase 2 as well. Like, shit is about to get a lot more interwoven in terms of like different media dealing with like different perspectives of the same conflict and providing new information, which is like a really interesting concept. And also basically means that it's not optional to choose what you want to participate in anymore. Like, you can read it, you can participate in it all, or you can not have the information. And I think that is really something that is a challenge for something like this. And I think part of that, the Drengir is a good example of that, although the Drengir also just kind of like, even in the comics, coming to an unceremonious like drop plot point end is still something that I have issues with. But like, I don't know, like, at the end of it all, I don't know how I feel about like, and like I said, we'll talk much more about this, and I want to know how y'all feel about it. But I don't know how I feel about the breadth of different media that this story was told across.
Are we at the end of phase 1?
We have. So we're reading
Do I
a
have to
batch
read
of.
this fucking comics for it?
So we've got this batch of comics, and then there's a YA book following this about
Okay.
Wreath. There's a literally like a half a sentence that mentions that there's a conflict going on in Corellia, and that's where Wreath's at.
Yeah. Is Wreath the little autistic one?
He's the little nerd boy who got really horny for whatever reason. The last book we read about him. So, yes.
I see. I great points about having to consume all kinds of media. I, with my apologies, mostly to Devin here, I don't want to read comic books. Like I'm
Well,
I'm
that's too
fucking
bad.
going to. I got a whole list of them for you to send me.
Burb, there's like a lot of lesbians if it helps.
Oh, why don't put that in the books? These
That
can
is
all
going
be
to
books.
be in the next book as well.
These meetings can all be an email. Like, actually, it's the reverse of that. I think from going to comic books to regular books, but like, I don't know shit about Marvel except when it looks like there's a lesbian, I will probably try to watch something. So I saw like a couple of the earliest ones, and at this point I'm like, this is too much for something I don't care about. But yes, I will watch. Is it Captain Marvel, the one where they're gay for each other?
Captain Marvel is I would put it on that side of the spectrum.
Is that the
Probably
movie?
Yes.
Yeah. I know they're gay for. I've seen that film. That is two women in love. But like having not been exposed to this sort of storytelling in other franchises, I think it's fun. With that said, like I like it when it's more approachable. And I think that enough of phase 1 to me has been like, you don't need to read all of it to know what's happening in any given book, which is great. I don't know. There's a lot of points of view at all time. There's a lot of things happening. I can keep up as much as I think I can. Famously, I cannot read, much like everybody else on this podcast, but I thought it was fine. I was afraid to say so because I was afraid I would be wrong somehow.
You can think it's
No,
fine.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Sick.
so. So. For me, there are a few things going on here. Like, for me, I think the beginning part of this book, until we started offing characters, it did feel a little crowded to me. And I think it would have felt more so if I hadn't been doing all of the reading up until that point, because at least I could be like, oh, this person's familiar, and this person's familiar, and this person's familiar.
That's why you kill the characters.
You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong.
It
You're not
makes
wrong.
it easy.
You're simply not wrong about that. The other thing I will point out is that, so for somebody like Rana, who I believe she has read all of the adult High Republic Phase 1 novels with us, but not necessarily all of the middle grade or the YA. For her entering this book, I think she kind of did have more of a mental load of, who is this person? Like, how do I get a sense of them when I'm just finding them? And they have a whole related backstory that is like kind of immediately relevant here. Which is obviously not to say that Rana did a bad thing. She's a very busy lady, but I think that's a good example of, like what could have happened for folks who are just like, I'm gonna read the grown-up books because I am a grown-up. And
to be fair, every time we read a book, I like do not remember who half the people are. It's like, I think we've been to this planet before.
I mean, I just mixed up like 5 different planets on this episode, so yeah, I hear that, bro.
It's okay. I forgot about the lesbians, and that's
I forgot the aliens.
I don't know how that happened.
That's shame on you, honestly.
Burb really did have one job here.
But yeah, I do think that is a like all the adult books have a shit whack of point of view characters, and there's always a lot going on, and there's a lot of plot that happens, and I would argue that a lot of the character development parts of it do happen in what filthy casuals would probably consider the side material, which is the books for younger readers and the comics. And I think that, you know, if you're come into this and don't understand what the project is and what they're trying to do in terms of storytelling modality, like you're missing a lot, and some of that actually might be a little bit crucial. So that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents.
Now who's making references? Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and I think that I'm going to be really interested to see what y'all think about Phase 2 and Phase 3, and whether you find it hard to follow, or if that's just me. And I'm very open to that being the case. But yeah, because I think the key for things like this, and I think that it's something that Marvel pre Endgame did really well, just since we're kind of using Marvel as the comparison point of these interconnected universes, is making it so that you could drop in and out, and like you could just be like, I don't really care about Thor, I'm gonna skip this one.
And the thing is,
it would, and you know what, you'd need to be like, okay, well, Thor's hair's different now, but he's still Thor, and he's still like trying to fight people. And there's been no like massive, like earth-shattering changes to what's going on in this situation. And I think that that's something that they skirted the line in Phase 1, and I'll be interested to see what y'all think about Phase 2 and Phase 3, of like, if you just read the adult books, you can get a full experience, but if you read the other stuff, then you can get like a positive addition to that experience, rather than if you don't read them, it is a negative like hindrance to your enjoyment and understanding.
Yeah, like, see, here's the thing though, like I like, even with Marvel, I don't feel like I can just drop in and out personally. Like if I had just watched like Avengers and then Infinity War and Endgame, I would have been like, what the fuck? Because there's like, I feel like, those individual movies that are centering around like one or two characters, like I think really important. And maybe it's just me speaking as a storytelling person, but like there's a lot of important character development that happens in those that, like, if I had just been like hopping around, I would have been fucking confused, as like so yeah, I'm really a person who feels like you have to take in the project as a whole, because that feels, because that's how it was constructed, that really does feel like how it was intended. And like maybe they also wanted to, and like you were saying, like clearly they also wanted to build in these points where you can just drop in and out of it, and I don't think that worked.
In Marvel or in High Republic?
Both.
That's fair.
Which is just my opinion as a person who wants to absorb all the lore. So take that with that grain of salt.
All right.
Okay, the end.
We didn't even talk about the Rathtars.
Oh my god, the Rathtars. Sorry. Oh my god, I forgot this whole page of notes. All right. This is something maybe we can come back to, but like, are these like franchise mega events relevant anymore? I saw that there was like a roundtable interview that the transcript of just got posted to StarWars.com, because we're coming to the end of the High Republic, and it mentioned something like, this project started 4 years ago, and I was like, 4 fucking years ago? What do you mean it wasn't like 15 fucking years ago? What are you talking about? Which is fucking bananas to me, because I feel like the media landscape has changed so much in that period of time. A lot of it having to do with like shifting politics and people having bad opinions. But anyway, it's like, is this sort of thing relevant anymore? And I don't know. It's because we're reading this out of the immediate release. We're pretty behind on it, clearly, because we have many phases to go through still. So like for me, like this feels like I don't want to say dated project, but it feels like the kind of thing that did have its heyday, a few years ago. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be interested to see how like the rest of it shakes out in terms of like how it feels as a cohesive thing. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting because it came out like right on kind of the front end of every single pop culture anything wanting to do this whole interconnected universe thing. Like this, can you stop whining, Orca? Orca really really wants to get his opinions about the High Republic heard. He's passionate about interconnected storytelling.
and his opinions are cry.
Yeah, I don't know if that's audible to y'all or not, but that's happening. Um anyway, what I was saying is like we're kind of like coming out of this period of like, and a lot of this was like very studio driven of like Marvel prints $1 billion every time they do a movie, which like spoiler alert they don't anymore, but like before they did, and they were like we would like to also print $1 billion whenever we come out with a movie, and so and
Yeah.
they thought this was the way to do it when
Famously, Star Wars makes no money.
yeah.
Yeah, the Acolyte sure didn't make any goddamn money. Nobody watched that.
Still mad. Forever mad. It's fine. But like, and it is interesting because this was like approached from the jump of they like got in a room for a week and broke the whole story of phases 1, 2, and 3. And like, things changed along the way, but it was planned like this. And that I think is a very different thing than, oh, people like Game of Thrones, let's come up with 4 different Game of Thrones spin-offs and 2 of them will actually happen.
Oh, fucking God.
And you could say the same thing of Star Wars. Like, hello, let's see, Lando show never came out.
Oh, fuck.
What was it? Rangers of the New Republic never came out.
Okay, to be fair, that didn't come out for reasons.
Yes, that didn't come out because Gina Carano fumbled the bag.
Yeah,
still.
which, like, listen, was that a convenient excuse? Perhaps, but also she's a piece of shit, but go on.
But, like, it's, I don't know, I think it is a really interesting look at, like, this was intended as interconnected storytelling versus, like, oh, we can make money off this. Let's make them do interconnected storytelling.
It wasn't like Mando season 2.5 with Book of Boba Fett.
The Book of Boba Fett available in 5 of 7 episodes. Oh, Disney.
Do they make a lot of money off the books?
They do well, generally speaking. Like,
yeah,
they
I feel like,
I mean, they don't make as much money as movies, but for
Yeah.
books they do.
Yeah.
like, I mean, to your point, like, obviously this was planned, but like, even if they were to plan it after the fact, when everyone started doing the money grabs, I wouldn't do a book situation.
That's fair.
I would.
That's fair.
They have a whole ass streaming platform.
Yeah, but that's more expensive to create. Books are cheap to make.
Yeah, but you make a lot of money. Well, you don't make a lot of money, apparently, off of the streaming platform that you own.
La 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 la.
Unlimited growth is possible. I will be, and we're never going to find this out, but I would be very curious to know who Michael Siglain, the head of publishing at Lucasfilm, had to kill to like actually get this through to fruition and not let them cancel it midway through, because that feels like a thing that they would want to do. They being largely Disney. If I'm complaining about story things, I'm usually complaining about Lucasfilm. If I'm complaining about financial things, I'm almost always complaining about Disney.
Yeah.
Disney, a company that has never made any money.
Yeah.
$0.
Absolutely. But yeah, I really want to know like how many times he had to like go to the mat and to get this thing through, because honestly that is the biggest achievement, that they started it and then they actually finished it.
No, 1,000
4+ years later.
1,000% absolutely. That speaks to not only to the dedication of the writers, but all the people who like were involved in editing and publishing this shit. Like, Tom, if you're listening, thanks, bro.
Yeah. Shout out Tom.
Right. Shout out to Tom, the Del Rey team, the Disney Lucasfilm Publishing.
Excuse the fuck out of you. It's Random House Worlds.
You're right. It's not Delray anymore. Excuse the fuck out of me.
Uncultured swine.
When the Fallen Star came out, it was Delray. Random House Worlds. But yeah, like this really is like a monumental achievement. You know, my feelings on like whether it like hit 100% aside. Orca again just really feels passionately about
the written word
and protecting its
educated boy.
sanctity in an era of unfettered capitalism. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, and y'all are only a third of the way through,
This dog can't
and
read.
there's a lot more story to go. But it is, you know, kind of the question of like, is it relevant anymore? I think you could argue that like aside from like the Infinity War Endgame phase of Marvel, where they actually also got through everything that they planned before they started having to cancel everything, because Disney was like, we ran out of money. No, they didn't.
We ran out of recasting.
we ran out of recasting. But they also like had a story that, you know, and they didn't necessarily break it from the beginning the way that, or maybe they did. Devin can correct me on this, but like they had a plan and they got through to the end of it and they told the story they wanted to tell. And that I think is very, very unique among these kind of mega events in today's media.
Yep.
Sports.
All right. Jesus fucking God. All right. I just wanted to like have a quick 30 seconds of thank you, Claudia, for these moments of levity in this book to keep me from just like throwing myself at the window in utter despair, because clearly this ship was going down and it wasn't gonna be pretty. Which is also a giant fuck you to all the people who after The Last Jedi were like, Star Wars isn't funny. Like,
Star Wars is fucking hilarious.
I know, it's like Ryan doesn't actually understand Star Wars. It's very serious. I'm like, oh my god, please eat my entire butt. People like motherfuckers had to escape from a fucking garbage chute in the first movie. Like, give me a fucking break. But so one of my favorite bits was when they open the cargo hold of that second ship that is listed as hauling Rathdars. And she literally built in Claudia is so good. She literally built in the beat where they open the doors and everyone pauses because the Rathdars are like outside, and the search party is like, oh, those are Rathdars, before all hell absolutely breaks loose. And I was like, this is peak comedy, actually.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this one
Like,
has Rathdars.
There's no Rathdars.
The funniest Star Wars has ever been.
It's so good. And Raptors, like, listen, they're horrifying, and they're also ridiculous creatures. Like, they're just rolling slime octopus balls that kill you, okay? Like, it's so
the
stupid.
biggest lizards just here to rip you apart.
Giant.
Also, dinosaurs. I picture them as dinosaurs. Lizard dinosaurs.
They're... No.
Yeah. Dinosaurs can look like anything. We've
They're
seen
not
Raptors. Are those not
slimy,
dinosaurs?
though. No.
Dinosaurs. Hang on, I'm going back to dinosaurs can look like anything.
Yes.
I don't think that's true.
All right, first of all, tell that to Kanji Club. Second of all, we've seen Raptors on the big screen, and they don't look like dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs can look like anything.
Okay.
You know those like I feel like these were very big in the 2000s, but those like weird ball things that had all the like different like points on them, and they had batteries, and you would turn them on and they would just kind of like shake and like roll all over the place. Like
what?
Uncontrollably.
All right, listen, we were poor. I don't know what you're talking about.
I saw Devin nodding. Devin's picking up what I'm putting down.
I've had some of those.
Yeah. Rathtars are that, but like instead of points, they're tentacles, and it's just teeth and meanness.
Are Rathdars are dinosaurs? Are they not dinosaurs?
Can you please go Google a picture?
They don't look like
I
dinosaurs.
remember when they chopped off the thing, and they closed the door. Yeah.
It had a it had tentacles.
Dinosaurs can have tentacles.
But don't forget, dinosaurs can look like anything.
Famously,
I'm dying on this hill now. I've built it.
This is like,
oh, that's a funny looking dinosaur.
Burb's just out here like, I've never stood up for anything in my life. I'm standing up for these dinosaurs.
I am.
The guy at the store said that these Rathars look like dinosaurs.
Could be blue.
Anyway, I'm just gonna. Anyway, we'll leave you with this. Geode fucks.
Geode
He also
fucks.
murders. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Book Wars Pod, episode 182 specifically. Next episode, we're going to be catching up on the rest of the Phase 1 comics for the High Republic. So,
Oh my god, I can't breathe.
this orc is getting the attention he craved. It's fine. That's starting with the Marvel High Republic series. Not at all confusingly.
Oh, 1 second.
You got this.
Oh god.
Not at all confusingly, there are 3 different just named the High Republic series. There are 3 different just named the High Republic Adventures series.
Why would you? This is why we shouldn't do the comics.
Listen, take it up with Devin.
Bro!
He's gonna keep cutting you off.
He is.
Hold on, it reset my loop. God damn it. Okay. All right, one more time. Okay.
There we go. So we're reading Volume 3 of the High Republic series that started in 2021. That's issues 11 through 15. We're doing Volume 3 of the High Republic Adventures series from IDW that came out in 2021. That is the first and only annual. I also don't understand why they call them Annual 1 when there's only ever going to be one. And issues 8 through 11. Again, I'm taking it up with Devin offline. We're reading the manga, The High Republic, The Edge of Balance, Volume 2. We're reading the 2 Marvel miniseries, The High Republic Trail of Shadows.
I'll never stop reading this.
And the High Republic, The Eye of the Storm, or maybe Eye of the Storm. I don't know if there's a and that's all the comics in Phase 1. After that, we're going to be reading Midnight Horizon by Dana Jose Older, which is kind of like the official end of Phase 1.
Breathe. Oh boy.
My mouth hurts. Kate, you want to take us out?
No.
Cool. Good talk. Bye.
Should I do this?
Yes, please do.
Okay, I've never done the outro before. We can do this. Those are all the things we're gonna read. Friendly reminder, if you have the means and are so inclined, first, with your spare money, donate to Stop Ice Raids Alert Network. That's stopice.net. And I am not scrolling up to find the phone number, but we said it, and you can probably Google it. If you do want to spend more money after that, donate to the Tashi Stadio. Fuck. I want to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. Tashi Station Radio Network Patreon. It helps cover our hosting and production costs. It's www.patreon.com/Tashi Station. We've got a $2 a month tier where you can watch Chris and Kate stream games. The Last of Us 2 is apparently being replayed. Maybe Outlaws. I don't know what's going on. And then you can give us coffee, ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. We'll post pictures on the Instagram if anybody sends them to me.
I fucking sent you so much shit you ain't posted yet.
I was sick.
Okay.
Post pictures of Argos, Blue, Flix, Magenta, Merly, Orca, and the big orange asshole himself, Tony. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Logo and artwork by Joe Butera Design. Our audio and production and soon-to-be producer doctor, Devin Keys. I'm Miranda. Kate's here. Chris is here. Rana sends her love. Happy Pride.
I'm like too drunk for this. Oh my god.
Fucking nailed it.
Famously, Star Wars makes no money.